Tonight in Cardiff, we are two dark grudge matches. One we expected. The other one? Not so much. Gentlemen, raise your beverages. It is an NXT party.
Support, no DQ.
Welcome everybody to the NXT party for episode number 59 of NXT UK. I'm your host, the Rated R reviewer, Stephen Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good morning, wrestling fans.
And tonight we are joined by, as per usual, the holiday Chris Mace. How are you doing?
Doing good, yo.
And for the first time on the NXT party, we'd like to welcome, please help us welcome, the West Coast Professor, Jeff Meacham.
Hey.
Such an honor, man. Thank you for being on here. Seriously.
It's one of those things where we were doing the match before we started rolling. I have not been on a regular no DQ discussion show or review show or anything since the early days of the no DQ review. So this is awesome for me to be back, getting shit in.
Well, thank you for being on our show to do so. I think we had you on for the predictions for Blackpool.
Yeah.
Yes.
And since then, schedules haven't been able to line up, at all.
Yeah, predictions aren't exactly a discussion
show. You guys
show.
tape on Vampire Times. So
yeah.
That's
pretty much.
So.
We're getting better about it. Sun's coming up eventually.
And it's going to get even worse in about a month.
California.
In about a month, it might get better for some people. In about a month, our schedules are going to shift 90 minutes forward, and we are going to get out of work at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well,
depends on how you...
I think it actually works out a lot better for our team.
No, 6 a.m. Is it 6 a.m. or 7?
It's 6.
I think my involvement with the Tea Party and with what's NXT and whatnot will be a lot better once we get out of the environment we're living in now, and I get my own space with 4 walls and a door, and actually get my own studio type setup, and I'll be able to record into the night. So we'll see.
Well, I'm glad you got some alone time and could join us. I wish that we had a better episode of NXT UK to review.
You know what? It's one of those things where it's a show after a takeover, and it is, as we say on their DQ, what it is.
Yep.
But I happen to like the women's match. I know you guys didn't really care for it, but I actually liked it. So.
Well, I'm going to ask you guys this before we even launch into these two dark matches. I'll go ahead and start with Chris real quick. What was your take on Cardiff? Did you actually, enjoy the pay-per-view itself?
Oh my God! That whole Saturday I watched.
Everybody enjoyed that
pay-per-view. I watched a whole shit ton of wrestling, but like I said, I enjoyed Cardiff probably more than any of them. Honestly, I thought it was really good. The whole pay-per-view was really good. The weakest match to me, I thought, was the women's title match to me. But, I've never been a fan of Toni Storm. Everybody knows that watching these shows.
You think that match was weaker than the opening match with Travis Banks and Noam Dar?
I liked that match better than I did the Toni Storm match. Because if you saw where she botched, you saw where Kaylee Ray botched, almost killed herself when she went to get on the top rope and jump after Toni Storm. You saw where she almost killed herself and botched.
Yeah.
But still.
Just a little thing. Like I said, that main event was one of the top 5 best main events I've seen in NXT TakeOver by far so far.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jeff?
I absolutely love Walter and Tyler Bate, and even the great and powerful Dave Meltzer gave it 5 1/4 stars. So you can't go wrong with a Meltzer rating like that. That was ridiculous. Okay. That match was absurd. I liked Banks and Noam Dar. It wasn't their greatest match for either one of them, but it was better than I thought it was going to be, considering how kind of shoddy the build was, I thought.
It could have very well been a throwaway match.
Yeah, it was. Tony and Kaylee Ray, I've seen Tony Storm do much better. I've seen Kaylee Ray do much better. And I think there was the botch there. There was the problem. I thought the triple threat tag match was amazing. I thought Joe Coffey and Dave Mastiff beat the crap out of each other. It was such a great, just brutal knockdown. And they showed it on this episode of NXT UK. We're going to talk about the aftermath of both those guys and how beat up they were. It was not as good a show as Blackpool, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
I disagree. I think it was a way better show than Blackpool.
They had to find ways of raising the bar here and there, and Dragunov versus Cesaro. That's one to kind of like.
I forgot about that. That was an amazing.
Stack them up.
That swing! Holy shoot!
Stack them up match to match, and you've got Pete Dunne versus Joe Coffey versus Walter and Tyler Bate.
Yeah,
I think Walter and Tyler Bate easily wins that. You've got the stipulation match with Mastiff. One hand you've got Eddie Dennis in a street fight, and then in the other hand you've got
the last man standing.
Last Man Standing with Joe Coffey. That one easily is better than the match with Eddie Dennis.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but with a guy Mastiff's size, you need a guy that's short and stout and strong enough to deal with him. And Eddie Dennis is tall and lanky, and he may be regular strong, but he's not strong enough to deal with Mastiff. Not like he was trying to.
Oh no, I love me some Joe Coffey. I love me some Gallus. So.
Oh yeah.
And the tag match where the Grizzled Young Veterans initially won the titles was great.
Yeah.
This triple threat match was even better.
I would have to go with that as well.
When you stack them up side by side, I think this was a much better pay-per-view than Blackpool. Maybe the only match that is even equal would be the one where a WWE superstar comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this time around it was Cesaro, and that match was friggin' awesome. And you had Finn Balor before, and the match was great, but the name value of Finn Balor and the fact that he was completely a surprise.
Yeah.
Kind of, I think they're at the least equal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think the women's match was better at Blackpool also.
Might be the only match that was better.
I was about to say Ripley versus Toni Storm was actually a much better match than Toni Storm.
It's funny that Chris because I don't get to watch
it was a
all
longer
stuff,
match.
and I apologize for that. It's funny that Chris mentions not liking Toni Storm. I honestly am not all that sold on Toni Storm, and I am a huge women's wrestling person.
You're preaching to the choir here.
You're just huge on women.
I don't get the appeal. She's pretty.
Well, no, I mean, okay. I don't think any of the three of us like Toni Storm.
No.
We are so glad that we no longer have to say, and this will be the last time I say it, shiny.
Yeah.
That is gone. And we are so happy.
Nice.
Well, that was a good way to kill some time because we only get 2 matches tonight.
Exactly.
We get a lot of shit in between, though.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to that. This is the women's match. We've got Piper Niven, Rhea Ripley, match 2. And Rhea comes out, no nonsense, but she doesn't look like she's got business to attend to. Like,
no, she looks happy.
She doesn't, well, not happy. She looks annoyed with the crowd. But, I don't know, she just doesn't have that presence like she did when she came out on NXT.
Yeah.
She doesn't look badass.
I think that's the key right there, Stephen. I think she's so hyper-focused on Shayna right now that, like, the UK stuff's kind of like a afterthought for her.
Not too hyper-focused. She won the match.
Yeah.
She did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit, and I don't think it was that great of a match, but I think the problem is Piper Niven. She has too much weight and not enough speed or power to successfully do anything with it. Like I said before, her moveset is almost the duplicate of Dave Mastiff.
Pretty much.
Works for him, not for her. She went for this cross body that she does where her opponent's on their knees. She does it to Rhea Ripley, and she doesn't have enough momentum going forward, so instead of sending Ripley backwards onto her back, she kind of just falls and crushes her. Yeah. And Ripley's left leg bends underneath itself in such a way, I was worried she just tore her quad. Like, she's going to get injured right before her match with Baszler.
Well, that's already been recorded.
This is true.
I didn't know that.
This match was relatively short, and for that, I'll give it credit. Mm-hmm. And for the fact that Rhea Ripley won. Yeah. Let's start with... Go ahead.
I think, unfortunately, Piper Niven has come along in a WWE that is not 1950s WWE, where the women were, dressed in singlets and they all had a certain brawling style and they were like Moolah. She's not the athletic WWE superstar the women are now.
Yeah.
And she stands out in a bad way.
Well, I mean, if she changed her style to fit that, I think she would be just fine. There are several women wrestlers that do. I think Nia Jax is a good example. You don't see her trying to do a whole lot of runny, flippy, spinny shit.
Nope.
Well, but people aren't very high on Nia either right now. So
well, that's not because of a little bit because of her ring presence and the fact that she's a little bit green, but I don't think it's her moveset.
No, well, if she had not, if Piper Niven had Nia's approach and moveset to a certain, and the way her style of wrestling, she'd be better off. But Piper's trying to wrestle like Charlotte instead of like Nia.
Yeah.
It ain't working for her.
She's gonna hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think about this opening match?
I'm glad this feud's over. Piper Niven had impressed me since she got there. I thought, they had all this hype for her. I thought, okay, this is going to be the match I want to see. And then it's like, it was hot, cold. Then you would have the first match, and you're like, oh, God, didn't like the first match at all, and Ripley should have won the first match. And then get to the second match, like, oh, well, the only thing I like about it, Ripley got her win back, and then she won the match, because she should have won the match. Piper Niven hasn't been impressive. And I just don't think their styles work at all. You can't just put two people together and expect them to create magic all the time, have great wrestling matches. I just think there's just too much of a clash of style between the two for them to have a good match, period. I don't care what you do. You can put them in any kind of stipulation, the match ain't going to be very good.
Jerry?
Well, with me, I was just happy to see Rhea Ripley wrestle, because that never gets old for me. But, always seeing that inverted cloverleaf, love watching that. And then, mostly Ripley's mannerisms. There's this one point where she gets, thrown across the ring, and she actually says, "How dare you?" And I thought it was, one of the most hilarious things I'd seen, in quite some time on NXT television. But it was so understated, and just the look on her face, she was so pompous about it. You wouldn't expect that to come out of someone that's, nicknamed the Mosh Pit Kid. It's like, how dare you?
Yeah,
gall.
I think they need to edit her
does
nickname.
Not get near enough credit for how good she is.
Oh, she does not.
Well, she was the inaugural women's champ here.
And now she's got a chance to be the first ever
not from
NXT.
WWE itself, but from the general critic public. She's still vastly underrated.
I think all of the momentum was put behind Toni Storm from the get-go. Yep. My feeling is if she hadn't gotten injured in the initial women's championship match, she might have won that match.
Yeah.
I think they had to make a call because she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to defend the title.
That would have been a mess.
But even still, I think Rhea gets enough credit. Just she doesn't get enough ring time on NXT UK. We only see her once every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think...
Yeah, if they're going to cross her over to our NXT, that's fine. But let her be on more often than 6 weeks, like you said.
Yeah, I think on NXT she's going to have a little bit more of a focus for two reasons. For one, right now, her focus is Shayna Baszler. Yeah. So that's automatically going to put her at the top of the card. But for two, she is a big name coming out of NXT UK, and that in itself puts her at least at the top of the mid-card.
Yep.
So even if she doesn't win the title from Baszler, she's still a big name in NXT just because of her accomplishments in NXT UK.
She goes into an NXT women's division that is grossly needing new faces.
Yes.
Because we've seen everybody on NXT Like, you know, how many times are we going to see Io and Candice now? How many times are we going to see, you know, Bianca Belair fight some other jobber? Like, they need new people, man. It's getting to the point where the division that grew these people we have now on the main roster, Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, Becky, is becoming just stale as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to the points where they brought Pete Dunne over to NXT too.
Yep.
Exactly.
I feel like
both divisions are sluggish.
I feel like Pete Dunne's probably going to be the next guy to challenge Adam Cole.
I think Mustache Mountain's gonna follow him over there and go for the tag belts.
So Niven does get close to a victory. She hits a corner cannonball, which she jumps like literally 2 feet in front of Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
How do you not jump before that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how she landed it. I don't think it looks safe for either one of them. But that's my note on that. She follows it up with a Vader bomb and gets a near fall. And then Ripley counters. She does that, like she lifts them up into a carry that looks like she's almost setting up for a tombstone.
Yeah.
Does she come in with a driver out of that or something? Well, whatever it is, Rhea Ripley like slides down her back and ends up turning it into a riptide.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, she pushes Niven. She pushes Niven into the ropes and then does a forearm to her already injured back, as she was working on the lower back throughout the match, and then hits the riptide. 1, 2, 3. At least she got the victory, but I think I agree with Chris. She should have gotten both victories.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be 50-50 booking. Rhea should have won both matches. But whatever.
Well, I think like Chris said, we were looking forward to Piper when she first came in. She was a big name out of the UK scene, and there was potential there. But since she's been very kind of since her WWE debut,
Flatlined, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've got Radzi in the back, and he is with Sid Scala,
who got some bad news.
Yeah, he has got an announcement.
That's who he is. Bad News Barrett back. There we go.
Very nice.
I think WOS has got him for the interim. Get rid of that. He gets to announce that Jack Gallagher is not medically cleared to wrestle, so he's not going to be able to compete in the main event. And there's Cassius Ohno out of nowhere, and he says, I'm going out there anyway, and if you don't have an opponent for me, then I guess you can just forfeit the main event.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait a second. He's going out there now, and it's the main event. At that point, I didn't know that we were having 2 matches only. Now I know. I paused it, and I saw how much time was left, and I'm like, fuck balls.
Well, yeah, I figure we got our two matches in Toronto for dark matches. That's what they tend to do, is 2 matches.
2 fucking matches. Anyway.
Well, it is the show after a takeover, so we're going to get a short show. So.
Yep. Mostly full of video packages and exclusives.
So Johnny,
lots of video packages.
And you know what? For me, it was okay because I had when NXT UK went on the air Wednesday, I had not seen Cardiff yet, so I got to catch up really quick.
Oh yeah. So Johnny Saint comes in and he whispers something again, sweet nothings, into Sid Scala's ear. And we don't know what he said, but we do hear Sid Scala say, "Are you sure?"
Are you sure?
And he nods at him. So Scala goes off to find an opponent for Cassius Ohno. Now we've got about 5 or 6 minutes for that to happen. In the meantime, like you guys said, there are a lot of promos and video recaps and packages. Lots of packages.
Yeah.
First,
small packages.
The Grizzled Young Veterans backstage after their title loss at Cardiff, and Zach Gibson is beside himself, and of course James Drake has nothing to say, but he does look like he's trying to calm Zach Gibson down. And they make their way to Johnny Saint's office, and I love this part. Zach Gibson, he looks like he's gonna bang on the door, but he stops himself. He takes a few deep breaths.
Gibson's like
Shanti. He's centering himself.
Right.
Goose Fraba.
Breathe, Zach. Breathe, brother.
And he knocks very politely on Johnny Saint's door, and Johnny Saint answers, and he's very polite. You could tell he's frustrated, but he's very polite in requesting a rematch 2-on-2.
Yeah. Like
it should have been at Cardiff. And Johnny Saint says he'll take it under advisement.
Yeah, he'll think
consider
it.
Yeah.
And then Zach loses his mind.
Then Zach threw a fit.
Yeah, but this was early, or this was the other day, and now it's supposedly Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we've already gotten confirmation this match is going to happen in a week's time. It is going to be the Grizzled Young Veterans of Zach Gibson and James Drake versus the South Wales Subculture, SWSC. Can't remember her name, but there's somebody from South Wales that watched our Cardiff review and left in the comments, Jerry, look up her name. Yeah, you've got your phone free. I want to give credit to her for giving us the name of the tag team. They are going to defend. That's Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, the man with 3 names. At least I'm looking forward to next week's episode, because that ought to be a hell of a fucking match.
Granted, they were in Cardiff, so that makes sense. But who would have thought that Mandrews from TNA would be a huge name in WWE at all?
That's what threw me. Like, for the longest time, it took me to placing him, but I was like, oh yeah, he grew a beard.
I mean, I think from day one, especially with Jerry, this was a guy to look out for, and oddly enough, it was the tag team run with Flash Morgan Webster that made him look weak, because they were always losing. But when he was in singles matches, he flourished to the point to where General's rule number 1 is do not try to vertical suplex Mark Andrews.
Yep. You know, it never bodes well for
him. He is that good. And he's one of those guys I hate to love. But we are going to get that match next week. I can't wait. Who you got, Jerry?
Oh, for me, it's going to be Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, but you know my reasoning why.
Yeah, retaining. You want...
I want Eichner and Bartel to take him out. I want Imperium to have the gold.
What about you, Jeff? Who do you predict in this match next week?
Oh, Lord. I honestly like Gibson and Drake more than Andrews and Webster. So I would love to see a regaining, but then it just devalues the championship win. It devalues Andrews and Webster to the point of no return, I think. So we'll probably see a retention for now.
Chris?
Andrews and Webster.
Yeah, I agree.
Cat AD.
There you go.
Yep. So thank you, Kat, for dropping that information on us. And she watched the show from Wales and said we were one of the very few people that were actually reviewing the actual show, which we got like 550 views on Aftermatch.
On Aftermatch.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then 14 subscriptions in 4 days off the back of that. To the point where we are way beyond 100.
So thank you, people.
Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely.
Anybody that shared, liked, subscribed.
Ate soup.
So after this, we've got some exclusive footage backstage, and then in the ring, and beside the ring, and then backstage again. This is like the fallout of some of these matches. Initially, we've got Joe Coffey with Wolfgang and Mark Coffey back in the trainer's room, and it looks like Joe Coffey can't stand on his own.
No.
And they are trying to get help. And, he was beat the fuck up. Then they show Mastiff in the back. He's just in the hallway, and he's getting met by the Hunt. That's Wild Boar, Mike Hitchman, and the Primate Jay Melrose.
He's learning the names, folks. Watch out.
Next week I won't remember them, but anyway.
They're dressed in nice suits and everything. I'm like, who are these guys?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Who are these guys? And then commentary told us that his bearded brethren, the Hunt, and they're just trying to talk him up. Like, I don't know. It was all right. He apparently could stand on his own.
Yep. So Jeff, where do you think this is going to leave either Gallus or the Hunt at this point? Are they going to be still feuding, or do you see them moving on past this to something else?
I think the fact that they focused on both Coffee and Mastiff recovering means that we're a long way from over, because both Gallus and the Hunt will want redemption for their boys. So I'm not saying they're going to take it all the way to the next takeover, but maybe they'll have a huge blow-off here on UK TV pretty soon.
Well, I think the fact that you showed the Hunt approaching Mastiff and they're the ones getting him back on his feet, basically. Yeah. I mean, visually, that because he was kind of leaning for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That in itself lends to this continuing. Because otherwise, you should have just left them back at the match that they lost, the 6-man tag.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been it. But this is showing that they have formed some sort of weird brotherhood.
All I know is, as long as Gallus is on my TV and that theme song is playing, they can have him on every week.
It bumps.
Mm-hmm.
Every week.
Chris, is this the end of the Hunt or the Wild Animals? The Animals versus Gallus?
No, I think this feud is going to continue, which is unfortunate because since Gallus didn't win the tag titles, I was hoping they would set up something where they got another chance at the tag titles since they didn't technically lose the match. They weren't the ones that were pinned. It was Gibson that was pinned, so I figured they would have some kind of storyline where they're complaining about they weren't the ones that were beating the match for the tag titles, so they would want a rematch for the tag titles.
I think where that goes is a number one contenders match between Gallus and Imperium.
That would be pretty awesome.
Somebody mentioned earlier about Imperium getting the gold. I think that's what they're going to have, is Imperium garnering the gold.
Yeah.
And then we'll finally see the debut of the NXT European Championship.
Yes.
And Alexander Wolf will be one of the people in contendership for it. But ultimately, it will initially be won
by Jordan Devlin.
Thank you.
Yes.
Jordan Devlin.
Jordan Devlin needs a belt,
fucking
people.
Deserves it.
Yes, he does.
Oh, I love Jordan Devlin, damn it.
So now we go to the ring, and we've got Kaylee Ray celebrating her win, and Toni Storm on the outside, just miserable. This was probably the best acting from the whole match for Toni Storm, and it was after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
But she looked miserable, like, duh.
Oh well.
Oh well. Can't call it that thing anymore, that name that shall not be spoken.
Considering the fact that she lost the title and she did a horrible job of acting and losing it, and she probably was upset legitimately. Oh shit, I lost my job.
Yeah, I haven't been impressed by her.
No.
After this, we've got Trent Seven at the back comforting Tyler Bate after his loss, going for the WWE United Kingdom Championship. There's a faux pas. They need to just subtly start calling it the NXT chick. I want to make mention.
Yeah.
Last week on Raw, Michael Cole was talking about NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. And he was talking about a few of the matches. And he mentioned Tyler Bate versus Walter. And he called it the NXT UK Championship.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did.
So, I think he's got something there. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been defended on a regular United States NXT show or WWE show since Pete Dunne won the title.
Yeah.
So it's not really the WWE UK Championship anymore.
It was only that before they had NXT UK.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Once they had a brand.
So, yeah, that is the World Championship for that brand. So it should be that brand's title, period.
Yeah. And I think when they finally debut the European Championship, because they really need to, as the mid-card title, it needs to be NXT UK European Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So, before we get on to the final match, we have one more promo, and it's very short, and so hopefully we can make our description of it short. Tegan Nox, they showed her in the crowd at NXT Cardiff, and she is going to debut next week.
She's going to make her debut.
Anybody know anything about Tegan Nox? I don't. Jeff?
She was in NXT US for a minute, and then she got hurt, so she's been on the shelf, rehabbing, recovering. She's actually pretty decent in the ring. I think, again, I think she would have been better served being in the U.S. division because that division is so right now. But she prefers the UK scene, so more power to her that she's there.
Well, she probably feels she'll be better utilized. I mean, have you seen what they're doing with the women's matches there at this point?
Yeah, but Rhea Ripley had to go to NXT to get better utilized.
That's very true.
I'm hoping that because again they need somebody to step up and challenge Kaylee Ray right away. Rhea's across the pond. Piper's not getting the job done. Tony will probably get a rematch. God help us. But, they need fresh faces on both sides of the Atlantic for NXT women's divisions. So maybe Tegan will work out in UK, and Rhea will be good here in the United States.
Chris, any thoughts?
I'm kind of intrigued to see how she does on her debut match next week. Like I said, hopefully she's not a disappointment like the last couple been, like Piper Niven and some of the other ones that have come in that don't turn out to be disappointments in their debut. So only time's going to tell. We'll see you next week.
I think the fact that we didn't get an opponent announced for her lends to the probability that it's going to be a jobber.
Right.
Possibly Candy Floss.
I want Dakota Kai back.
Oh, I think she's still injured.
I want Dakota Kai back. Dakota Kai is kick-ass.
Yeah, she was. Very much so.
She's kicking ass on both programs, on NXT and NXT
that's true.
UK.
Still her, I think, isn't she?
All her friends are gone now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the main event. We have got Cassius Ohno versus fill in the blank. And the blank was filled craftily.
Yes.
I liked this. So
yeah.
Sid Scala comes out to announce Cassius Ohno's opponent, only he doesn't have a microphone, and he's walking awful fast, and he starts rolling up his goddamn sleeves. And the crowd slowly realizes and starts going crazy because Sid Scala is going to have his first match in NXT UK since like episode fucking 3.
He was supposed to face off against Joe Coffey, but that was not medically cleared. And after that, he got turned into the assistant manager.
So I actually have like several notes for this match, despite the fact that I wasn't expecting much. I mean, it's Sid Scala.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a jobber before he became assistant to the GM.
He was an excellent jobber.
Oh yeah, he sells incredibly.
Yes.
But a jobber nonetheless, and we're talking Cassius Ohno that has been on a ridiculous win streak.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a few losses, but nothing that's held him back.
Yeah. In his match with managers that he had where he ended up losing, like he made manager looks credible and still a safe face at the same time.
So, Professor Meacham, what did you think about the main event?
I think it shows another great example of why Chris Hero is one of my favorite people of all time. Not just as a wrestler, just in general. He's a tremendous person. I think that he can get anybody over like gangbusters. I think that he made Sid look like something can happen, and it was very well done by Cassius Ohno. And I think that in another environment, in another we call it, in another version of the multiverse, we may have seen a Sid win here, but it didn't happen because Cassius Ohno was pissed off at management for treating him like crap here, so he went over there and he's getting the same nonsense. So he's determined to show that he can be the top guy. Maybe, just maybe, we'll see Cassius Ohno get a shot at something down the line here. Maybe he'll come back across here and challenge for the North American title. Maybe he'll go against Walter. Wouldn't that be interesting?
That would be interesting.
He already has faced Walter once in NXT UK.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right, but that was when he had just came over and
Walter there was really nothing at stake at this point.
Well, Walter was a baby face too.
Yeah.
Or at least an unspoken tweener.
At this point, if Ohno challenged against him or anything, he'd be going for a belt.
Yeah, and he'd have some momentum behind him, serious momentum.
And he's also got a match against him which he could sit there and study over and over
he
and
delivered what's his name? Ilya Dragunov's first loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A brilliant match.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I like to call him the man who ate too many Chris Heroes.
But it's just funny because Chris and I go back to PWG where he was the defender of Candice LeRae against the Human Tornado.
Yeah.
So that's how far back I watched Chris Hero. And Chris Hero was not this big ballooned up version of Chris that he is now.
No.
He was actually, rather cut, I should say.
Yeah.
So he's evolved a lot over the years, some good, some bad. But he may be the best he's been since he signed with WWE the first time.
Yeah. Right now, I think now that he's got his footing and this momentum in NXT UK, he's going out there and he's making these displays of his ring genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And that blows my mind because I'm not usually a big fan of this chain wrestling bullshit. But he does it so well. What do you think about the main event, Chris?
Thought it was really entertaining for what it was. Sid Scala, like I said, I think he's only wrestled, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's only wrestled 2 matches in NXT UK. It was Eddie Dennis and it was Devlin he's wrestled.
Yep.
And then he was injured. He was supposed to fight Coffee, and then he didn't fight Coffee. He wasn't medically cleared. That's when Tyler Bates took his spot to fight Joe Coffey that time, and he hasn't wrestled a match since. So he was pretty impressive for having wrestled in a while, that's for sure. Like, you had that suspension of disbelief that he might pull off this upset real quick and shock everybody, but it wasn't meant to be. But all in all, it was pretty entertaining for what it was.
Yeah, he had a few roll-ups that had you guessing, and to his credit, Chris Hero kicked out at 2 9/10.
Yeah.
I mean, but to the point to where you weren't second guessing a 3 count.
Oh, that psychology that he was pulling at that point in the ring, it was fantastic.
What do you think about the main event?
I liked it. I liked the surprise factor and everything that came with it, even though I'd already seen the caption pulled up on WWE, like on WWE.
Thank you. That pissed me off.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, or I didn't notice.
Stefan averted his eyes. Me, I couldn't. I'm like, oh, it must be a typo. And then he announces that, like, Jack Gallagher is not going to be there, and I'm like, is Sid Scala going to fucking wrestle again?
I was so mad when they put it on TV. I'm like, they blew in the caption. Damn. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yes.
But all in all, the match I thought was what it needed to be, which was a culmination of a feud that's been kind of brewing that we didn't think anything would ever really come of, except for maybe Sid Scala would start throwing opponents at Cassius Ohno just out of spite or just because he could, because he's got a little bit of power behind him. But to see him actually in a ring again, doing his averting, and every now and then you get a quick reversal or something in, I thought it was really impressive. So, was it takeover worthy? No. Was it takeover dark worthy? Yeah, I think it was.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I called it artful dodging. That was my first note of the match, is Sid Scala's ability to just run around the ring and somehow completely avoid Cassius Ohno in his offensive attempts. But eventually he gets caught, and Ohno starts working over the leg. He gets his left leg trapped in the bottom buckle in the corner, like over and under the bolt, something like that, and then stomps on it. And that's where he starts working on the leg. And that'll come in sort of into play at the end of the match. But Scala does get some offense, and at one point he does a neck breaker onto Cassius Ohno over the top buckle bolt.
Yeah.
Over in the corner. Like, he's on one apron, Cassius is on the other. And that knocks him off. And then he does this plancha over the corner onto Cassius Ohno, but Cassius turns around, and I don't know if this was accidental or not. Or
kind of a spear type thing.
It looked like he put a shoulder into Sid Scala's gut as he came down, but I don't know if it was planned. I think Sid Scala just, weighs what, 95 cents wet?
95 cents.
It came off well.
So
he came off really well if it was a fuck up.
Yeah, so he hits Cassius Ohno, but immediately bounces off of him and smacks his head on the floor. But then somehow is the first to get up, and they get back in the ring, and he goes for this tornado DDT out of the corner, but Cassius Ohno just grabs him mid tornado and holds him, and then brings him down with a leg breaker over his knee. Picks him up by the leg and then does a dragon screw the other way, but rolls his body with it. Oh, man.
That was sick.
Yep.
And then as Scala barely makes it to his feet, he does that rolling elbow, which they're calling the Dream Crusher.
Yep.
To the back of Sid Scala's head. Pulls him away from the ropes. I like how they put this.
So that was not the Gallagher right there, yes.
Pulls him away from the ropes, pins him 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And who didn't know going in that Cassius Ohno was going to beat the shit out of Sid Scala?
It was still a welcome surprise, though.
I like how commentary mentioned here that, what's his name? Joseph Connors has been trying to get opportunities, and they could have sent his ass out there. But no, Sid Scala had to go represent Johnny Saint himself, and
I bet that plays in next week, and Joseph Connors gets some serious time next week.
Maybe. In the meantime, that brings us to the end of the main event, and here on the NXT party, we like to rate the main event using good old-fashioned NXT. And since you are our new guest this week, Jeff Meacham, out of 5 spots of NXT, where do you rate this main event?
For quality of surprise and quality of entertainment, I give it 3. For match quality, I give it 2.
So
2.5.
About 2.5. 2 and 3 quarters, pretty much.
What about you?
We'll call it that. That's fine.
There you go. What about you, Chris?
If that's give a quarter star, why can't I? Damn it.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna give it 2.5 just because that wasn't something I was expecting to see when the gentleman was out of the match. So I wasn't expecting Sid Scala of all people to come down there and wrestle. So for the surprise factor, and that man could move like a crazy person. Like he could definitely dodge some moves. That's for damn sure. But for that and the entertainment value, I'll give it 2.5, 2.25.
What about you, Jerry?
I'm going to have to go with these guys at this point. Probably like 2 3/4 would be as high as I go with it. It wasn't takeover worthy, but it kind of was a culmination of things that have been brewing little by little. Just like every little conversation that hit, like Scala and Ono had backstage kind of led to this, because there was always that air of disrespect towards Scala. And you can kind of just see him biting his tongue, not really doing anything about it. So he tried to do something about it in this match. Came up short, but I think at the same time garnered a little bit of respect just for the fact that he tried to bring the fight to him and just failed. So
I guess I'm going to be on the high end of things tonight, because I you know me. What do I love?
The story.
And there were a lot of stories in this match, from Cassius Ohno brilliantly working over Sid Scala's leg, to pulling him away from the ropes there at the end, the surprise factor. And the surprise factor alone, I'm going to give an extra quarter star. I'm going to land this at 3. Because to me, 2.5 is middle of the road. This match, for what it was better than middle of the road. Especially with all the little stories. And like you said, all the shit going on backstage, you know, this is, I mean, it seems like Cassius Ohno has sort of bullied, but more so disrespected Sid Scala every time that they've had interaction. So this was like the culmination, but who won? I'm going to go with 3.
Yeah.
3 spots of NXT.
Support, no DQ.
That brings us to the end of this episode of the NXT party. Thank you guys for showing up, and especially Jeff Meacham. Again, so glad to have you finally on the show. And let's start with Chris. Where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Christopher Mace, and like I said, just support guys like Noah Foster with 205 Live Matters, and all the shows he reviews for AEW and Impact and Ring of Honor. He does great work there. Support Colin Andrews with the chopping block. He does great work there. And if you haven't seen his bubbly video, you have to check that out. That's hilarious. and Jeff, like I said, watching you 12 years ago with Talk Wrestling, never thought there'd be a day to actually do a video with you. So it's been an honor to actually get to do a video with you, Jeff. So.
Well, Danny, okay, you can come in and be here with you.
I'm older than you, Jeff, so hold on a second.
Shit. It has been a long and winding road, to be sure. And you gotta remember, I go back, actually next month, October, will be 17 years with no DQ.
Wow.
I don't know.
Which is frightening on multiple levels. That it's,
I've been a frequenter of NoDQ.com for essentially 20 years.
Yep.
Like probably.
Right, I remember going to WWF.WCW.com to read the news, and then I remember writing arena reports from WrestleMania 2000 for the Mayhem.com. So there you go.
Yeah, for me the thing was, if you wanted news about wrestling, like somebody disappears and you don't know where the fuck they went, and you don't like subscribe monthly to dirt sheets and shit like that, so you have to Alta Vista or Ask Jeeves and find some wrestling news site that has that news. Then when I found www.tripod.com,
Yeah.
he had all the news, and he would have his sources credited and whatnot, but he would gather all of the news. So I didn't have to search anymore. I just went there, and anything I needed to know was somewhere in those links.
I was a random MySpace ad. Aaron Ripley, I saw that I was in wrestling, and I got added on there. So
MySpace. Brief.
Well, where can we?
MySpace. We were on MySpace for the end of XMV and then the early Talk Wrestling. So that was, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's been a long 17 years. I'll be glad. Actually, for the Aaron's coming down in October. We're probably going to film something.
Cool.
So we'll see how things play out there. He'll be here for Hell in a Cell. So actually, he'll be right over there for Hell in a Cell. Yeah, so you can find me on social media at nerdq.com/Jeff for my Twitter page. I have two Instagrams, actually. _Jeff Meacham is my personal Instagram with all my pictures and my random shit and whatever. And then JDM Bucket List, one word, is a series of shots of places I want to go before I kick the bucket.
Nice.
And next Saturday, the 14th, when I get home, I'll be adding my first actual shots of someplace I've been that I want to go. I don't have it on the page yet, but I will be at the Myers house in Pasadena where they filmed Halloween.
Nice.
So I can get to take pictures, and they're actually screening Halloween that night in the backyard of the Myers house. So it'll be a fun outing.
Nice.
And NoDQ.com/merch. You can get this slick little hat I've got on here that I paid the full price for because I'm not cheap like that. And you can find the T-shirts, you can find the coffee mugs, you can find the wall tapestry if you want to hang something behind me instead of my King's pictures. You know, you can. We have a lot of cool shit now, and if you want the classic shirts, you can go to NoDQ.com/shirts. I think that still links to the Pro Wrestling Tees. If not, ProWrestlingTees.com/NoDQ and _AV.
I'm still waiting on no DQ bandanas.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe
I'm
still waiting on a 22 by 22 inch black square piece of cloth with the no DQ logo on it.
Stefan, it took me 20 years to get a no DQ hat.
But they're so much more difficult. There's all that stitching and shit. I've seen what those machines have to do that stitching, and like it's a process. A bandana would just be like sliding through.
Stamp it. Was one of a kind. I had it made at a print shop down the hill from my house here in Canyon Country, California, and I wore it so much because I was so proud of the fact that I got it made, and I wore it everywhere for the no DQ and everywhere I went for wrestling, that I got this horrible sweat mark all across it, so I had to replace it, which is why when Aaron started the Teespring, I was like,
nice. I'll have to get the tapestry and cut it to size, I guess.
Yeah.
So well, the logo is huge on that tapestry.
Damn.
So.
That would be cool to hang up for the What's NXT, since we'll be going live on No DQ now.
Yeah.
Instead of the British flag.
And yeah, make sure you guys if you've not watched before and you're watching because you saw Jeff Beach on the show, Jeff Beach. Watch these guys every week. No DQ, the NXT parties, the What's NXT, everything they do. These guys are focusing on what Aaron is not focusing on. And it's good shit.
I couldn't ask for a cooler plug than that.
No, that's going on my urn right there. Seriously.
To quote Jeff Meacham,
we're good shit.
So I want to thank you guys again for being on the show, and if you would like to be on a future episode of the NXT party, come have a spot of NXT with us and help us review a future episode of NXT UK. You can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN.
That side, yes.
Yeah. Or if you just want to look me up on Twitter, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find the gentleman on Twitter
at No DQ General, and also my Facebook group Armbar, all capital ARMBAR, exclamation point. Join us there for memes, discussions, and really funny jokes. You want to hear a great one, Stefan?
You're going to tell me what, regardless of what I say.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
sure.
Of course I'm going to. One has 2 thumbs and beat Chris Mace again in predictions. This guy.
What does that mean for Chris?
That means we get to see him do this dance. And we're back. That was awful.
That was horrible, Chris. Shame.
Yeah, I'm going to edit the video in, but I got a sneak preview of it, and actually, you know what? I kid, but at least he makes it
Oh, yeah, it was wonderful. that actually was better than the Carlton, I believe.
It was wonderful, almost.
So, yeah, find us on Armbar on Facebook. Don't try to add us. He will block you from Armbar if you try to add us.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've done it.
Add us on Twitter. You can add me on Instagram now at osborne.stefan. I have no content, and I have 50-some followers, and I think that's hilarious. I think it'd be even more hilarious if I got into the triple digits, so help me do that. Also, if you like our video, click the like button. That's underneath me over here. And if you like all of our videos, do yourself a favor, click the subscribe button that's over there underneath Jerry. And if you are subscribed to nodq.com, click that bell icon, because when we go live on Thursday mornings for What's NXT, which we are doing now, that we are at 113 subscribers.
113.
That's on Aftermatch Wrestling, all one word, AFTERMATCH, Aftermatch Wrestling.
Wrestling.
We got to work on that lag.
Yeah.
So, as mentioned, we are above 100 subscribers, so we want to shout out a big thank you to everybody that's helped us get there. A bigger thank you to Israel Diaz for always commenting on our videos.
Israel Diaz is always there.
Probably our best fan, if you exclude all of the NXT members. We got to get him on a video somehow.
That'd be awesome.
Israel Diaz, what's your email address? If you guys have an email address, but you don't have Facebook or Twitter or any of the social medias, we can get you on here too. That's how Chris got on. That's all it takes.
We have a completely new shooting schedule now, so it's a little bit easier, I would say, for some people.
Subscribe to Aftermatch, where you'll get these videos first and in HD. That's the NXT party. What's NXT? I'm going to have to figure out how to get those videos onto Aftermatch now. But now that they're going live on NoDQ's YouTube channel, I don't know if they will still be on ours. I'll figure that out. Got to figure that out for the future. Anyway.
When in doubt, just download the video and post it later.
But yeah, those are going to get better quality. Our previous What's NXT video was out of nowhere. Like, we had been stuck at 99 for so long.
Yeah.
We didn't see that coming.
We weren't ready.
And then we got all this love coming off of the NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff review.
Yep.
And so here we are. So join us every week Thursday morning live on NoDQ.com's YouTube channel. Find Colin Andrews' YouTube channel, Colin Space Andrew, Noah Foster 210.
Yep.
Simply underscore C underscore OK for Cindy Gonzalez. That's the Duchess Cindy G.
Yep.
And let's see, we've got Owen Finch with Wrestling Fortune 44 or Owen the Talkinator, and then we've got James Hebert with his Weymouth Youth. That's WEYMOUTH Youth Wrestling.
And we'll eventually get the Notorious One's information, and we'll start reading that off verbatim as well.
Yeah. So.
Well, he's got his AEW Nation he does on Facebook. They got over 1,400 people there so far, so you could find him on there.
I got 90.
Yeah, but you're super selective.
Yes, I am.
Keep deleting people.
I am a snob. I'm an elitist.
As it should be, General. As it should be.
So I think
that's coming from Jeff Meacham, people.
I think that is all the plugs.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I'd like to extend this out to keep Jeff Meacham on longer, I think we got to close the show.
Yep.
So. For the West Coast Professor, Jeff Meacham. For the Holiday, Chris Mace. For the General, Jerry Slaughter. I am the Wizard of No DQ, Stephen Osborne. Thank you for having a spot of NXT with us, and we will see you in NXT time.
Have a good morning, y'all.